Perfect.
Hi, guys, and welcome to Keep Hope Alive podcast. My name is Nadine. We have a great show for you. We got Miss Rachel King with us, she's a top-notch lawyer and advocate for us out there. So, welcome, Rachel.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. I think this is really exciting.
Yay, I'm excited too. I mean, just looking over your bio, you cover everything. So we're going to dive into that and take their journey with you. But really quick, before we get started, out of the last, let's say 15 years, how many weddings have you been to?
Gosh, not very many. I'm not a big wedding attender. Maybe five.
Five? Okay. One of our sponsors here at Keep Hope Alive is called Life on Record, and I'm going to just throw .com in there really quick. What they do for weddings, instead of having the guest book, they do a vintage rotary phone. So that your guests are walking up, seeing this cute phone. They can leave a message. Congratulations, or dude, it's about time you put a ring on it. Whatever. It's the gift of voice. And right next to it, they have this QR code that your guests can take out their mobile phone, scan it. They can leave a message on their own cell, either before or after the wedding. And once all these messages get like collected in their system, you have a choice to have it burned on a 12-inch vinyl record or a keepsake little speaker, which I call the boom box. So definitely like their plans, this is so good. And you can use it really for any event. It's good for a year. Their plans only start at $99, which is amazing. So the gift of voice. I mean, I would want to sit back a year later and have my cake, I guess. Listen back and listen to all my friends and family talking. But to find out more information, please visit www.lifeonrecord.com. All right. So, Rachel King, who are you? And how did you get to where you are from way early until the now?
Well, how long do you have, really?
I know.
Uh, right now, I guess I am a mom and I'm a lawyer and I'm a wife and a business owner and real estate investor and I mean all of the things, right? I run, I do ultra marathons. So I guess you could pick whichever one you want, but I really, really have to say, of all of the places I've been and of the entire journey that I've had, like right now, I am living my dream. And so I'm super grateful for that. But it started many years ago, probably. My mom would always say when I was 12 and I opened my first business. And it's been an up and down journey. I've had a lot of success. I've had a lot of failure. I've had a lot of very hard things that I've had to overcome. But one thing that I'm really, really, I guess, proud of or grateful for is that I have resilience and every single time I'm able to, stand up and take the next step forward. And I don't know, you just fast forward to life and here I am today.
Oh my gosh, yes. It goes by so fast, and we all get challenges during the way. Did I hear you right? Say age 12, you had your first company?
Yes, yeah. So company maybe is a bit of a stretch, but
Oh,
when
okay.
I was 12, I really I've always been one of those people that like when I wanted something, I go out and get it. I still am like that. So right
Hmm.
around 12 is when you want to buy all of the things that your parents say no to. And
Yes.
so my solution even at that young of an age was well if I earn my own money then they can't say no to me. So I mean then I can buy it. It's mine. So I started babysitting. I went and got business cards made. I called you know what I did Baby City. So my first business was called Baby City and I passed them out to all of the neighbors. I
Oh,
babysat. I had friends that babysat and that I don't know how long that lasted. Maybe I guess until I got my first what I would consider like real job at Subway and I
yeah.
was 14 when I worked at Subway. And then I've had over the years different businesses that I've owned. I opened another company when I was 16 years old where we taught backyard swim lessons. And so th- through my entire, since preteen, I've had my foot in the entrepreneur door. I was raised with parents, divorced parents, but in both households there was business ownership. So this
Oh,
seems like
wow.
it was a very natural progression for me, and
Yeah.
it lends itself well to my very controlling nature.
Very controlling nature. I like that. Of course, you're a lawyer. But that's awesome. So you went to college, I assume. How was that in studying law?
I did go to college. I did not take the traditional route. I started college when I was 18 out of high school, and I didn't last very long. I didn't, the whole going to class thing was not really my cup of tea at the time. So fairly early in, I stopped going to college. I joined, did life a little bit, made lots of decisions that, in hindsight, maybe were not the best. But ultimately, I joined the army and I was very grateful to be in the army. I think maybe a year and a half or 2 years into the army, I realized the army was not gonna be a long-term career for me, but that I could use it to get me where I wanted to go, which was to be a lawyer. So I got my bachelor's degree, I used my GI Bill for law school, but again, I was a little bit older. So by the time I hit law school, I was married with 3 children, or married with 2 children, and I had a 3rd child in law school. And so again, my path has been quite fun, but definitely not traditional, and I think it was the best for me, absolutely.
That's good. That's good. I mean, you have set those goals and you followed through with it. That's amazing. Oh my gosh.
It took
I
Yeah, it
wish I had your
winded.
energy.
It
So,
was not a straight shot. It was not a straight shot, there was a lot of winding uh, and changes along the road, but I kept, I kept moving forward, and eventually I got where I wanted to go.
yeah, yeah, definitely. I know I made the biggest mistake out of high school. I got a scholarship. Well, I can't really call it a mistake, but I gave that up for love. I wanted to get married and everything. And I look back now going, oh my gosh, I should have just stuck with it, gone through, got my degree and everything. But, for, you know, dropping out of restaurant hotel management, I remember I had to kill a fly with a green sheet and in my apartment and it fell over and I'm like, yuck. But it said Macy's full-time bridal consultant needed. And I'm like, I just called them so quick. Hey, I got experience. Da, da, da. They pulled me in that day and they hired me that day.
That's awesome.
And
Yeah,
yeah,
I think it's been interesting. I don't know that everybody needs to go to college. So, like, of course, I went to college and I have an advanced degree, but I certainly didn't do it right out the gate. I did it on my own schedule. No, if I was starting at my age now, I probably would not have the energy to do it. But I don't think that there needs to necessarily be this guidebook as to when you should be doing things or how. In fact, when I was in law school, my husband had recently gotten out of Iraq, and I really wanted more kids. And I remember everybody telling me, like, "You can't have a baby in law school. You can't have a baby in law school." And I thought, I mean, why can't you have a baby in law
why not?
school? Like, I want to have a baby, and I'm, whatever, how old, or whenever I had her when I was 30. So I guess I was 29. I want to have a baby, and I'm gonna have a baby. And
Yep,
there's no convenient time for really any of it. There's no convenient time for
exactly.
school. There's no convenient time for children. There's no convenient time for so many things in life. So if you want them, you just have to do them and make them a priority. And I think I did that. So
Yeah,
yeah, I don't think you need to go to
definitely.
college right out the gate. That's kind of
I
overrated.
love how people will input and just say, "Oh, don't do this now." Or even my doctors, "Oh, you can't get pregnant," and all of a sudden I'm pregnant, and I just It's to the man upstairs who makes that decision, not these doctors, you know. And they told me after I had my daughter that I still couldn't get pregnant. And, you know, it's like 10 years later, I got pregnant. It wasn't
Yeah, like, what
planned.
are you
I
talking
just got
about?
pregnant.
Yes, exactly. So I mean, I think there's certain things we can control and certain things we can't control,
Yeah.
and you do the best you can with what you've got and what you can
Yeah.
control, and as long as you continue to move forward and really, like, genuinely do
Mm.
everything that you can, then in my experience, everything, like, happens for a reason, and if it's meant to be, it will be. And if it's
It's meant
not,
to be.
you know, that's
Yeah.
fine too, that happens.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. It's all I say. I'm just following your footsteps, God, whatever it may be. And now I see my daughter and she's pregnant, so I'm gonna be a Gigi, not a grandma, a Gigi at the end
Congratulations. That's
end of
exciting.
August. I got to hear the baby's heartbeat yesterday, and that was the most beautiful sound I've heard in a long time. So
That's so cool.
yeah. So, like, out of all the lawyer stuff, what do you cover in your law? Oh, I like that, your law.
Yeah. So I am what I call a strategic litigator, also a trial attorney, but I am in court. So a lot of cases are resolved before court or they are, you know, mediated. Most cases settle, but I am an attorney that kind of takes my clients on the trajectory of trial for two purposes. One, so that if we do end up in trial, we are ready and we're prepared. But also, the faster that you can get prepared for trial, in my experience, the more likely you're going to be able to settle on terms that are more in your favor. So that's kind of what I practice. The
Okay.
areas of law, or how I practice, the areas of law that I practice are all of the family dramas. So think family law, divorce, custody, dementia, elder abuse, financial elder abuse, domestic violence, conservatorships. All of if the families are fighting and we need court intervention, then it is very likely something that I litigate. And again, by litigate,
Yeah.
it means going to court, putting your evidence before the court, and either having the judge or the jury make the decision.
Wow, that's good. I mean, I know I did a group called Surviving the Narcissist, and I've helped three people get to a safe place. I'm very proud of myself because that's no fun. I'm sure you hear all the stories too, but you know, that and I had a lady who did a podcast and she wrote a book. I'm trying to remember her name. I've talked to so many people that it was about elder abuse and financials and, you know,
Yeah,
just
it's really
different
big.
things. It
It's a
is.
really big under discussed topic, and actually it's gotten so out of control that the FBI has recently put in new branches and divisions within the FBI that specifically focus on financial elder abuse investigations and prosecutions. So it's sad because you're dealing with the abuse of somebody who is over 65 or a dependent adult typically, but we focus so much on children, and not that we shouldn't focus on children. We should be
Yeah.
focusing on children, but the thing about financial elder abuse is when you get to that age, you're typically on a fixed income. So if you take huge amounts of money, then it really affects their ability to provide their own healthcare or their basic needs because they don't have the ability to earn anymore. So I think
Yeah.
it's a really great place that the knowledge is being spread and that the law enforcement entities are trying to take a little bit more action than they have in the past.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, definitely. So, and then, you know, custody children, I guess doing paternity test and everything. You help out with that, I guess.
Well, so paternity is paternity, right? It's either
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
child or
That's
it's
just
not.
whatever.
That's
Yeah.
basic. You can go to CVS now and get a $20 paternity test. So that's
I
pretty
didn't know
accurate.
that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I when we're talking about family law, we're really talking about relationships that are domestic, and so that can be a marriage, that can be a just a relationship between a boyfriend or a girlfriend. It can be
Yeah.
parent and child. It can be so many. So, yes, a lot of what I do is divorce, but there's almost just as much with, especially in 2024, of people that are cohabitating and have children, or have just had a one night stand off of Tinder and end up with a child. So those all require if you can't co-parent or figure it out on your own, then it requires family law intervention.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. So, and thank God for you guys because I mean, the world needs you, like my
Oh,
story
thank you. That's a
is the
lovely
same.
point of view.
The
Many
world
people would
needs
say
you.
no.
No, no, no. I just, I'm going to be honest here. I'm not going to hold anything back. It's really bad. It's really sad. I got tricked on a dating app and he lied to me, but I had to find out the hard way. So we had our date, blah, blah, blah. It was the best date I ever had. But decisions were made, blah, blah, blah. But I went to the hospital like 5 or 6 weeks after not talking. I thought I had a kidney stone. And I will never forget. They came in and go, "No, you're really, really pregnant." And I'm like, they're like, "Do you need a minute?" I'm like, "Yeah." Like that's all I could
Yes,
think of
I
was like,
sure do.
but the song, I think it's Katy Perry got me through. I think she sings Roar. You're gonna hear me roar. I had to advocate for myself. I couldn't afford a lawyer, and he had a lawyer, but never, he just wanted to pay me off. No, he moved. He never met his son. And, it's sad. It's really sad when kids have to grow up and think, my parent didn't want to see me, So it's just for us moms that made the decision to definitely keep the child and like raise them. I mean, my son is already asked, where's my dad? And I was honest with him. I go, I'm not gonna lie to you. I think he moved far, far away and got a couple boats and he's chartering, people around. But poor kiddo, he's gonna have to. I'm just happy, you know what? He came to me and he goes, Mom, I need to go to church. I need to serve. I think that is the blessing that I wanted to hear. So he's taken a different avenue where kids can go down that
Yeah,
avenue.
that's great.
So,
That's great. Kids are really resilient. I get a lot of parents
oh
that
yeah,
believe that their kids are going to be horribly affected based on the quote unquote bad parent. But quite frankly, kids are really resilient. I think they want to grow up to be successful humans, and if we allow them those
yeah.
choices and not, kind of force a different narrative on them. What I see in the family law arena is that kids are going to be just fine, even if they've got bad dad or bad mom, right? They're going to be fine.
They're going to be fine. They'll be strong and go through it. So I know you've got some awards, not just some, a lot of awards in
Oh,
your
I hope you're
journey.
not about to ask me who they are, what they are. I don't remember.
LA Weekly Top 10 Industry Expert. I
Yes.
wrote it down. I was like, wow, and then I see you got San Diego, was it the Women magazine?
Mhm.
And then US Insider, SD Voyager, so Canvas Rebel, I
Okay.
wrote down,
Yeah.
and I'm sure there's 100 more, correct?
I have been very successful and I'm really, really
Yay.
grateful for that. Yeah.
Good,
It's
good,
nice to be
good.
recognized.
Yes, and I definitely doing it now too because I think awards is what makes us too. And being recognized, that talks a lot. It's a high volume thing. So I
Right.
did kind of research and everything because you're a good lawyer. And I was like, I hope she's out there podcasting and getting more interviews with other people too. So, and I was happy to see that you are and
I do.
everything. So, but
I do.
definitely, is there any advice on finding hope throughout law? Like, That is a big question that people may ask. I know they're a roller coaster as a client. They have to go up and down, but how do you do it? I know you're an advocate. How do you
Right.
go
So
in that?
you know, ultimately my obligation and my loyalty is to my client, to what my client wants. And I have not just maybe moral obligations, I have ethical obligations that if I don't do that, I will lose my license. So, first and foremost, that is what I do. But I think what people can take away, right? Being in a lawsuit, whether it's custody or visitation, or you're, filing bankruptcy or getting sued for breach of contract, whatever it is, being
Yeah,
in a legal battle is awful. Even if you're the plaintiff, which is the person that sues, right? Being the defendant is
yeah,
even worse because you can't just ignore it. But if everybody can really be clear as to what their goal is, like what are you trying
mhm,
to get out of this? Be honest about that,
yeah,
and then position themselves so that they're in as much control as possible. Then anytime that you are feeling in a position of control, it's easier to make decisions
mhm,
that are and to again the next foot up. When you are feeling out of control, then you sometimes, or I find that people feel paralyzed and they feel like they can't make any decisions. What's the point in making decisions? And they have a really, really difficult time understanding what's going on. So when I talk to clients, and what I would, tell recommend to anybody that's involved in law, or potentially all of your audience, is figure out what you want, and then figure out how you can feel like you're in as much control as you can, because being in a legal situation is so stressful and it feels out of control. So if you can
yeah,
make yourself feel in control, even if it's just, making it a goal to understand what the laws are. You don't have to like the laws, but understanding what they
yeah,
are, or understanding some part of your case, you're going to feel in control. And then when you're feeling in control, you're going to feel like there is light at the end of the tunnel, or hope, or however you
yeah,
choose to word it, right? So I think that's really important, and it's oftentimes maybe undervalued because we look at legal cases about winning and losing, and sometimes, I'm sure you've heard the saying, like, everybody loses except for the lawyers. So, uh, that's
I didn't hear
oftentimes
that,
true,
but
right?
wow.
Okay,
Uh,
we all get paid. Like, I get paid. I get paid whether we win or lose. So, I think there's more that needs to be considered, for the emotional part of a lawsuit, and I don't know that people value that quite as much as they should. So that's what I would say.
yeah, yeah, definitely. So, um, I want to go back to because I have a lot of people on this podcast who would
Yeah.
like to dive in a little bit more about domestic violence. Um, I know I always tell people, if it gets too bad and you can't do it yourself, or you feel like you're going to harm yourself, there's a phone number to call 988. No judgment. They're going to help you talk through things, but you need to take the next steps, get out there. Like in Texas, I know in McKinney, there's the safe house place and they provide the counselors and stuff. But somebody who is stuck, like they're scared to even tell them that I'm getting out of here because they might be in danger. What would you recommend for them?
Yeah, so I'm not a counselor, and I am not
I know.
I'm not a specialist in domestic violence. So other than the standard, you should contact an attorney, you can call law enforcement. I don't think that anybody should be listening to me on how to handle themselves in a situation that
Yeah.
is involves domestic violence, other than to get out of it. I also don't know that I'm can give any,
Mhm.
other than standard insight, because I've been very fortunate. I've not been in a relationship that has domestic violence. To that end,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think people need to be aware of their resources. They need to use their resources. Even if you're afraid, you have to use the resources. You have to keep evidence. If you have children, it's not going to work to say, he tried to kill me, and you have nothing there's nothing there or you never took issue with it. You have to be able to protect yourself. And that's why it becomes such a challenge, is because people that are victims of domestic violence oftentimes are unable or don't feel the confidence to be able to protect themselves. So you end up in kind of a catch-22 situation.
Yeah.
I can say, and this is going to be a very unpopular opinion, that not everybody is in a domestic violence situation. That is not to
Mhm.
say that there are not victims of domestic violence and there are not abusers. But one of the things that I get a lot is people saying, "Oh, I was in an abusive relationship." Well, being married or being in a romantic relationship and yelling at each other or being
That's
yelled
just
at doesn't
yeah,
necessarily amount, sometimes, but it doesn't necessarily amount to an
yeah,
abusive relationship. So knowledge is power. Know what you're working with, keep the evidence, keep documents, don't delete things,
yes,
and try and get out and use your resources. But again, I don't think that's a fair thing to say, because I don't think it's that easy. If it was, everybody'd get themselves out of a domestic violence situation, and
yeah,
I think it's unfair to the victims to say, "Well, just get out of it,
yeah,
just
yeah,
leave." You
definitely.
can't
Well, thank you
always.
for diving into that a little bit. So I appreciate you on that. So, as much as, I mean, you say you're the voice, so you're carrying some more weight and letting your clients be heard. Is that what I'm hearing from calling the
Sort
voice?
of. Yeah, so sort of what we do, I mean, what I do is I look at everybody has their own story. When we're in trial or when we're going to court, you want to tell your story. There's only
Yep,
certain ways that, you can't just walk into court and say whatever you want to say. You can't just bring in evidence, and there's rules and there's all these limitations. So my job is to help my clients tell their story and have their voice be heard in the way that the court is going to require it. And I
yes,
think that's really, you don't need to have an attorney. You have a right to self represent, you have a right to have an attorney, but it's not just as easy as walking in, whether that's because you don't know the rules or because you get really afraid or you are intimidated by the court process or you're being bullied by an opposing attorney or whatever the case is. My goal is to make it so that your story gets told so that you get your day in court. That doesn't mean you're necessarily going to win, but many times especially in the areas of law that I practice, which are family emotions, family drama,
mhm,
people want to say what happened, right? And
yeah,
most people say, I just want the judge to decide it's okay, but I just want them to know what I know." And so one of the big things that I do and one of the major goals when I work with a client is to make sure that their story gets told in a way that suits their case the best.
that's good. That's really good. I'm glad to hear that you advocate so well for people to be heard. That's
Yeah.
important. So, as you were talking, about like all these different things that led you up, you're a go-getter. So, do you have your future already planned out for the next 5 years?
I don't have plans like that. No, I mean, I do. I'm a planner, but I'm also,
Yeah,
flexible and I can pivot. My life plans at this point are to continue to do what I do, work for as long as I'm enjoying it. I still have children that I'm raising, so,
yeah,
I have to support them. And
yeah,
I think my major goals in life, though, are to when our youngest graduates high school, then we're gonna go, and my husband and I are gonna go hike the Appalachian Trail on a through hike. So that's, something that I'm
yeah.
planning, but I have so long. I feel like I have so long. I have like 9 years or something until that happens. So
Well, you
professionally, I
start
don't have
planning
I'm
now,
gonna keep
9
doing
years.
what I do, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a planner too, being a wedding coordinator and stuff, but I bought a piggy bank. It's like at Walmart, a venture fund or something is said. And as a photographer, I'm getting drawn. I really want to go to Utah on a canyon, but I want to do sunset pictures,
Yeah.
sunrise, nighttime, like everything. And I go, that's my goal. So it's like, I got a whole 50 cents in there ready to go.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy. Like I said, I'm very happy with where my life is. I actually am pretty I'm like I don't have to worry about money anymore, and that was a beautiful place to get to in my life. Now I just want to continue to work so that when I retire I can, continue to spend as much money as I want to and travel and do all of the things. But I I really, it's an interesting shift when you are able to do what you want, how you want to do it. You have reached a point in your career. I always kind of joke with people and I say I'm at a point in my career where I have like a lot of expertise. Like I'm very good at what I do, but I also still have the energy to do it all. And because the older you get, you may have more wisdom and you may be better, but you also your energy kind of falls back. So I really do feel like in my 40s I'm at this place where I still have lots of energy and I'm good. I'm no longer new, and so I'll just ride
Yeah,
this. My plan is just to ride this for as long as I can. Well, I can, I can
that's good
not.
though. That's really
Yeah.
good. Like your energy. Well, I had to suffer from 2002 with chronic pain, but
Oh,
I still go. And people who know me well, I got something called neuralgia paresthesia, and I lost all the feeling in my left side. Basically, it's my whole body, but they have a what is it called? A stimulator implanted in my back that's
wow.
supposed to help with the pain. Yeah. Wow. I have to charge myself up every week like a cell phone.
Wow. Does it help though?
No. I'll be the first to
Oh,
say
that's not
no.
good.
Yeah,
That's
we're
not
trying all new different levels again, but there's so much in my world. I'm like, I just don't know if I'm getting up, but that feeling of having to be charged is the
Yeah, that's
funniest feeling.
weird and kind of
And yeah,
I mean, it's cool. Maybe it's innovative. I don't know. I
I
hope
don't
it
know.
works.
I told somebody about it I was on a date with, and he wrote in the text, I can't date a robot. They're not no robot.
That's on I mean, I guess
Is
it's
that
good he
the
put that
easy
in
way
writing, so
out?
you could end that quickly,
Yes.
That is not a no. That
Yeah.
per pass.
Yeah. Should be singing that Carrie, Mr. Roboto. So, but yeah, definitely. With everything, if somebody wanted to get your services, how would they find you?
I am my social media handle, so you can find me on all the socials at the Lawyer King. Reach out to me there, follow me, subscribe, all of the things. I would love to connect. And if you do want to set up a consultation or need to talk to me about a case in California, Kentucky, Arizona, and Texas, you can find all of my contact information at the Lawyer King.
The Lawyer King. I like that name. That is really
Yeah.
cool.
Thank you.
So I'm sure there's a story behind that too, right?
Well, my name is Rachel King, and I'm a lawyer, so it's really
Yes.
not
Well,
a
there we go.
big story.
Yeah.
Then it was clever.
That is awesome. So your story is very inspiring. When you have goals, everybody who's listening, go after them and don't say, "Oh, I'm older. I'm gonna, not do this anymore."
Oh,
I know I'm sitting here going, "I want to learn this. I want to learn that," but I'm doing podcasts, learning from everybody who is a guest on my show, going, why didn't I do this? And I've
yes,
learned
it's
from my
the
authors that I interview, Audible is great for me, but holding the book, it feels good. So definitely. So one day you'll get a book out there.
oh,
I know
yeah,
you will.
I've got a lot of things. I'm not, again, I'm really happy with everything that I am.
Yeah.
I get asked often, Have you written a book?" And it's funny because my major is in literature and writing, but so I can
It's
write. I just have only so many hours in a day, you know?
I know it's all about time management. Like waking up, I have to make sure I got my coffee, work, work, work,
Yeah.
So I got you. But yeah, definitely. And if you ever I'm gonna have your social media and everything when I put it up for this podcast and everything. I'm so proud. I mean, I have so many more questions for you. I think I just don't want to cross that line because you may or may not be able to answer it.
Yeah. That's always the question, right? Am I and I mean, you're welcome to ask. I'm fine with saying it's not something
Oh,
that I'm comfortable
you
asking, but
know
you're
me,
welcome to
guys.
ask the
I'm just
question.
okay. I'll ask it, and you're like, no.
That's fine.
So, I mean, what would you tell somebody who is thinking about wanting to become a lawyer? What advice would you have for them?
This is like the question that I'm always the Debbie Downer in it. People always want some very, very inspirational statement, and really, I love what I do, but it is so much work that you only want to go to be a lawyer if you really want to be a lawyer. Law school is incredibly expensive. It's very mentally demanding, and then you get into the practice of law, and you're dealing with one of the most top 5 most difficult things a human will ever have to deal with, and that is, being involved in a lawsuit. So, make sure it's what you want, because who wants to, spend the money and go through school and do all of this and then hate what they are? If you're
Yeah,
interested in going into law, go intern, see if it's what you're really into, and then if you are, just go do it. Don't say, "I'll do it later." I just, do it and take it one day at a time.
or just watch some Judge Judy cases.
That's not real life.
Right.
That's
Just
not they're
throwing it
real
out there.
cases, but they're not real life. We don't know how they would ever, I mean, I love Judge Judy, don't get me wrong, but
She's amazing.
I don't
Oh,
know how
wait.
those
Oops.
cases would always it certainly wouldn't look like that if we went to the court and didn't have her take the cases.
Exactly. If everybody could have Bird by their side, they would be doing fine.
That's right, that's right.
So, but definitely, do you ever, it's family law, but and not accident, so I get that. So, as far as I want to go into elder because you mentioned dementia, also, I hope I'm saying this right. Alzheimer's, is that
Mhm.
different cases? Oh, have you ever gotten like clients that maybe like in their 40s, 50s with a disability that were getting that abuse, of finances too?
I don't do that kind of law because, again,
Okay,
the laws that I
you there? Uh-oh, she froze up. Give it a second or two. You there? Uh-oh. She'll be back, I promise she will. I'm gonna just continue to talk and maybe it will just pop open. There we go. She's logging back in. Yay! So
happen
she doesn't do it, she said, but
is but
there's
it
a
is
lot of
something that
there we go.
happens. Yes,
We
I'm back.
lost you. Okay.
Yeah, sorry about that. So I think it happens, I just don't really deal with it, and you should definitely talk to an attorney, though, and see,
Yes.
when we're dealing with adults that have some kind of developmental disability or,
Hmm.
um, something else that's impeding their ability to, make their own decisions, so they lack capacity, I handle that kind of case, and we do protect them, but again, most of the time they already have legal protections in place because they need somebody to make their decisions for them.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And what I always got told before in law, or lawyer stuff, never post on social media about your case.
Yeah,
Is
so that's
that
in
a
my fee agreement, actually. I tell people, stay off of social media. You know, everything's going to be used against you. So, and tell your friends not to tag you too. That's a big one. I have had people that say, you know, are being accused of drug use and they have scrubbed their own social medias, but then they're in the background of a, you know, I had one where they were in the background of a picture that their friend posted on social media and you can see them like actively drugs in this picture. And I'm like, so you should have told your friend, like, that doesn't help your case. Now we're going to use it. So you need to assume always that everything that
Yeah,
you put on the internet is going to be used in your case. Not a good idea.
gotcha. And that's good advice for anybody who is going through any kind of
Yes.
law stuff. So,
Yeah.
going to
Just
court, just keep it
follow
off.
your
Yeah.
attorney's advice, right? You're paying an
Yes.
attorney a lot of money. Why are you paying them if you're not going to listen to them? And if you don't like your attorney or you don't trust them, then it's time to get a new attorney that you can pay a lot of money to and then follow their advice. Nothing makes me laugh, not laugh. I guess I'm blown away that people will pay me to tell them how to work their case the best possible way and then will blatantly disregard it. And I'm like, well, I mean, it's your case, but
Wow.
honestly, why are you writing me a check?
Exactly. Exactly. Oh my goodness. Well, I wanted to just say thank you for all of this. I hope I'm not missing anything. Is there anything else that I needed to cover? Like,
I No, I think it's been great. And I just hope that everybody, you know, it's fun to
yeah,
be a lawyer, but just be yourself, do your best, and keep putting your one foot in front of the next to get where you want to go. And that's all we can ever do every day is the best that we can with what we've got.
one more question. Do you give free consultations or does it
I
cost for?
I do not give free consultations. Everybody
Ooh,
wants to
see,
know
I
that.
asked the key question.
I charge. I charge for my consultations because
hmm
it is my time, and I like to have a little bit more time with my clients and actually provide information that could be helpful so that they can make an educated decision on whether they want to take their case. But all of the information about setting up a consultation is on my website at the Lawyer King. So all of that can
Okay.
happen there.
Well, you're worth it. You are definitely worth it. I can tell how good you are just in your voice. You're so stern and let's get this going. I love that energy. So, but I wanted to say thank you for coming on to Keep Hope Alive. And I know, and anybody who's watching it, you know, they're taking notes of exactly what to do and everything. But and thank you for answering some of the harder questions. I thought I was like, oh, Nadine, don't ask that.
No, my pleasure. My pleasure.
So I also wanted to thank our other sponsors who make Keep Hope Alive going and growing. So as I mentioned, we had Life on Record. That was our guest book, but in a form of a vintage rotary phone. You can find them at www.lifeonrecord.com. Our next one, and I'll try to show it right here. Yes, it's working. Oh, there we go. This band right here, it says Hope. It is snap bands, and you've probably seen them all over Facebook. They do a good job of advertising, but there's a science behind it. It helps with cognitive thinking and kind of reduces anxiety, PTSD, OCD. Now, I put mine on about 5 days ago, and I'm finding more joy and giggling much. So I don't know. I'm just going for the ride to see what it does and give you that update. But if you guys would like to just check it out, they make them for adults and kids, all different colors. So they have like faith, hope, you know, all these different things you can visit. And I'm going to spell this. It's www. Snap is spelled SNAPP. Bands is spelled BANDZ.com. So check them out. Our next one is Ogden Ventures LLC, Marcus Ogden, that I'm interviewing him next. He's a retired NL, I can't even talk, NFL football player. I know for 3 different teams, but I will let him spell that out on the podcast. You'll have to watch. He is a keynote speaker right now, best-selling author, and he is a podcast host. You can find more information about him at www. Marquise is spelled Marqueus, then his last name Ogden, Ogden.com. Our next one is bridalshowsinc.com. If you are in the Dallas-Fort Worth area or anywhere, we had somebody from Florida come and you're planning an event or a wedding, they do trade shows about 5 out of the year where you can go and meet vendors, get their information, maybe even book a ride on site. So check them out. Our next one is milesandSmilesEvents.com. Miss Deborah Rose, her background is investigator, but that's not it with her. She does many events because she's a handwriting analysis and lipstick creator, and she's 100% accurate. I mean, I went to an event, I saw her in action. I didn't even want to go do the rest of the stuff because everybody had a really, really good reading on her stuff. So that was really cool. Our next one is Bryce Harney. It's www.brycemagic.com. He is a magician and mind mentalist who's been back and forth on TV, but he does big corporate events and he does church events and will do parties and everything. He is super, super good at what he does. So our next one is richmondpunch.net. This is a lot to say, you know. He's a violinist. He's been in the industry for over 30 years. He graduated from the Juilliards. He has performed in front of 1 million people before and also had on 2 spots for a Lifetime show. I don't know which ones, but he was playing the violin and everything. So if you need a violinist for your next event, reach out to him. Our last one is TK Hair Salon. If you are in Plano or coming to visit Plano, Texas, check them out. Women, men, children, they do haircuts, styles, coloring, perms, updos, facial, everything. So they are at www.tkhairsalon.com. Now remember, if you guys have any questions for Rachel or I, you can call 833-780-HOPE, which is 4673. Leave us a message. And, you know, if you do have messages to Rachel, I'm going to send them to her. I'll come up with a game plan to get those answered right away. But wherever you find your podcast, you will be able to find Keep Hope Alive. So right now we're venturing into Valentine's Day. So if you have any love stories, you can call that number, or even on the website has a little voicemail and you can leave me a message and we'll get those in, and maybe your love story will be on our next podcast. All right. Rachel, thank you so, so much for coming on. And
Thank you
I
for
hope you
having
enjoyed
me.
your time.
Yes, it was very nice. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you. Until our next show, love and light, everybody. Mwah. Bye.